Welcome to the Game On podcast. Tonight, hometown hero scores a ton and sets Australia up for a big win. South Australia's Christmas miracle winning against Tasmania.
Cocko!
And the gather round ticket basically sells out on day one in record time. Welcome to the Game On podcast. My name's Pete. Once again, joining the studio here with Malcolm. And, mate, I know what you're going to say is one of your goods for the weekend, but you did tell me off air that we've got two goods for the weekend.
Yeah, no, the win against Tasmania is number one. I've got to admit. To have the opposition at being 6 for 422.
Which is unbelievable.
9 balls in the game to go. We are max gone. Well and truly.
Yep.
To take 4 for 4 off 9 balls to win is just insane. And, we cover that tonight.
Absolutely. Mate, we're going live tonight. We are a little bit behind schedule as far as recordings go, but we will promote that our special guest this week was Phil Harper. He was kind enough to give us some time. But as you've already mentioned, we have spoken with Wes Agar from the South Australian team. I was nearly going to say the Redbacks again there. So sit back, relax and enjoy this short little interview with Wes Agar talking about the miracle that happened down in Tasmania.
Good minutes in the clubhouse.
Tonight we are privileged to have Wes Agar with us as a person who's watched the odd game of Shield cricket. Basically probably missed very few Shield games since the mid-70s. The game against Tasmania yesterday is the most insane game of cricket I've ever watched.
Oh, I think it's the most insane game that anybody watched.
At 9 balls to go in the game, Tasmania are 6 for 422. Needing 428 to win. Wes, what were you thinking then, mate?
Yeah, I don't think I was thinking at the time. I think I said it yesterday on an interview. I said it was lucky for me. I got a bit of BBL practice before the BBL even started. I just went, what's my best ball? My best ball is my Yorker, and I had to go to it. And I think I sort of went through a mixed emotions of how can we let 428 runs slip through our fingers to all of a sudden we've won the game and I don't know how we've done it. So it was a massive mix of emotions, but I'm really grateful that we've ended up getting the win in the end.
I was just crazy. So, and bizarrely, Nathan McAndrews then got Owen, who was cruising on 53 off 38, has got him out off a full toss. He's bowled another fully the next ball and got Kuhneman out first ball. And then, now come to the last over, Wes, where they need 7 to win. What were your thought processes of bowling around the wicket too?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I went round the wicket because it's my best option of cramping a batter's swing arc. So I think if a batter wants to access all parts of the ground, if you're over the wicket, they can back away and it gives them better access to the offside.
Yep.
My thought process was if I came around the wicket, it cramps their line. And if they do give themselves room, I'm able to follow their heel line, and they're still only able to hit it out to the leg side or chunk it to the offside at best.
Yeah.
I think if you're over the wicket, a batter gives himself room. Even if you follow him to an extent, he can still go inside out and hit it through cover with power. So for me, I wanted to limit power of a batsman's swing. And so I thought if I could go around the wicket, I was at best able to do that. And in previous overs, I was bowling short ball plans to try and get them to hit it out and get a catch out in that leg side. And I thought if they were backing away again, it will give them less chance to get me over the top, over the offside with that plan as well.
Yeah. And I think your second ball was really probably the crucial ball. You absolutely nailed the second Yorker and managed to bowl a dot, which just changed the equation again.
Yeah, I think we talk about it so much in 2020 cricket in the modern day with the ability of a batsman to hit the ball over the rope and find the boundary. Your ability to steal 2 balls in an over is crucial. And that steal is what I see as a dot ball. and it's however you do it is really crucial. And I spoke to Ben before that over, and he said, "Do you want them all out in the leg side?" And I said, "Look, we're going to have to get a dot here somewhere.
Yep.
Because at that stage we needed 2 wickets. Realistically, I wasn't even thinking about winning the game. I was thinking about how can we not let them score 6 runs off
Yep.
an over, which seemed they were cruising
Yep.
to draw the game. So we had mid wicket up, and I was just like, if I can nail a heel Yorker, he chunks it to mid wicket at best. We're either going to get a run out or they're going to have a dot ball. And that second ball had happened because he stayed in line with the stumps, and I was able to hit that Yorker on the same line that I wanted to.
And then the wicket?
Yep,
Yeah.
good ball as well.
It was a beauty.
It was probably my worst ball. I bowled that over, which is funny. I actually missed the Yorker, and he's probably gone a bit too leg side with it, and it got through. I think that was the moment when I thought we could win the game. So we got him out, and I think I had a bit of emotion poured out of me because I thought, right, we've got 3 balls at Riley here.
Yeah.
Or Mac, we got a few balls at Riley here to try and win this game, and we're a big chance here. But yeah, I just said to myself, I can't let them any chance of getting under the ball. So another reason why I came around the wicket was it keeps the batsman thinking, is a short ball coming with the field that I had on the leg side.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was thinking, I'm just going to try and get under this swing out and bowl Yorkers. And luckily one sneaks through, and like it does in 2020 cricket, you don't plan, you just try and hit the stumps and hit it on a full length. And luckily that one snuck through.
Did we I briefly spoke to you yesterday arranging it, and I did say to you, watching the game, it was just how flat the wicket was. So would have been tempted to bring guys up and try and get Meredith out, but the wicket was so bloody flat that we're still really relying on on an error from the batting side to lose a wicket.
I think at that point in the game too, we had that mid wicket or that box man at mid wicket for a chunk if he did happen to hit one up, but I don't think we could risk bringing anyone else up at that stage.
Yep.
So my best chance of a wicket was going to be trying to get under his swing arc and bowling him. I could have, the other option I had was to bowl a short ball and hope he mishit one. But in the stage of needing 4 runs to win at that stage, or 3 runs to win, what it got down to, I just thought to play that risk against reward wasn't going to be in my favour. So I had to.
I reckon you thought through it very clearly. And then, as you said, the last ball, you nearly nailed. It was just about perfect with him backing away. And then you're thinking, damn it, it's a draw. Yeah, and that. But a bit of relief. And then all of a sudden, you've looked around and Meredith's not there. It was quite bizarre. It was just, And apparently
I've been through a mix of emotions more in my life.
On that, apparently the scoreboard had 3 required. So the scoreboard had 3 required for a tie. And Meredith is somehow, and I admit, I'm mystified how there wasn't more communication on the bench. So Tasmania panicked as well, thinking there was 3 to win, 2 to tie. Yes. So that's why he's run back for the second. Where out there where Lawrence Neil-Smith has realised what the score is, that's why he stood still. So that did make a bit more sense afterwards. Like, it was just great, fantastic for us.
Yeah, I think it worked out in our favour. I knew at the start of the over, basically the umpire came up and said to us what the runs required is what they need to draw level to your score. They need 1 more than what the runs required on the scoreboard needs, right? So Riley Meredith coming out 3rd ball in that over isn't aware of that, and that's not communicated to him, and that's why he's trying to come back for the second there, thinking that if we somehow fumble the ball and they can get an overthrow, they actually win the game. Whereas,
and as you said, you just knew I just got to take this ball, and we've somehow stolen the greatest one of the great Shield wins in history.
Yeah, and I think that's what it felt like. I think I had in the back of my mind the Ashes moment where Nathan Lyon just accidentally fumbled one. I was just thinking, I think one of the boys mentioned it earlier from a run out that we nearly had during the middle session, and the boys are like, oh, it seemed like one of those moments. And I don't know how you can think so fast in such a short space of time, but that's definitely something that ran through my mind. Was like, don't you dare drop this, Wes. And luckily it went into the mitts, and I was able to knock the bails off.
Oh, actually, I think it would have been interesting if a third umpire view had been for the ball before, where Harry took the bails off. I've watched it a lot of times, and I think he did get back, but you haven't got the best angle on TV.
I've seen a couple of photos
but
from our
geez,
analyst.
it's close.
Yeah, our analyst sent us a couple of photos. His bat actually got stuck. So
Well, that's what I did wonder. Yeah.
For me personally, I actually think that was out. But in the midst of the game and in the scene of the game, it's very hard to give that a raw. But I think if it did go to a third umpire, I think it would have been 3 reds and on your bike. But yeah, it wasn't the case, and luckily enough, we still got the 6 points.
So is that something that you can train for, or that you discuss as a team? Because it's a unique situation that you wouldn't see in a shield, a normal shield game. Whereas obviously T20, there's a little bit more tactics behind that kind of, last couple of overs.
I think we're just grateful, mate, that we've got a bit of experience behind our bowling attack now. We've got bowlers. Even Thornton, now he's only played a handful of shield games, but we've all got 30, 40, 60 shield T20 games under our belt.
Yeah.
So you look at that and you just almost flick a switch into T20 mode, and your ability to do that and shut down one side of the ground just comes naturally now. So when you need to defend and you need to go to something, for me, my best ball is my Yorker, and that's my best ability to defend and shut down that side of the ground. And to be able to flick that switch, I think I'm really grateful that I've played a lot of T20 cricket and have been in those situations a lot. Whereas if you have someone who hasn't played a lot of T20 cricket, it might be harder to flick that switch. But for a guy like me, Mick Andrew and Thornton, which was our bowling attack luckily at the time, it actually made it a lot easier then to get in that mode and decide what we needed to do, because we've been in that situation so many times before in 2020 cricket.
And we'd also driven the whole game. We declared in both innings. The Bellerive faithful were deprived of Wes wielding the axe. And that sort of thing. But Wes, you were coming back from a hip injury, which there was word around it wasn't great. Now, you did make a comeback you did play a 2020 game for Kensington, which I've got to be honest, I thought you were a bit lucky on the first ball of the last over, Wes, with that one. Probably weren't as many people there to witness it. Although there was a good crowd there at that stage. In fairness, it was a good day.
Yeah, there was.
But did that help you just to get through that game? And I know it's only 4 overs under your belt, but just to have at least played a game of cricket again beforehand.
Yeah, I think it helps you with different things, like playing games of cricket. It's so different to training in terms of your front foot's got to stay behind the line a lot more, and the nets you get away with it a bit more. Just the pressure of where the ball goes and how to read batters, it's just getting back into that. And for me, having a month out of the game and not playing as much as I'd like, you sort of got to rebuild those muscle memory habits that you have usually when you've just been playing nonstop. So yeah, I do think it helped in that game.
And it did go down to the wire as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably was going to be a little bit underdone in the Kenzie game, but we knew that. And it was more just like get your body through the intense battle of when you get into the contest. And the ability that I got through that was my pure happiness. Win, lose, obviously you want to win for your team, but if I won, if I lost, it didn't matter overly to me. It just mattered that I got through, because once I got through, it was a green light to play the Shield game. And obviously that was my goal in the end. But yeah, going back to that game, it was a pure display of what South Australian talent has, and how good was it to go down to a super over and go really right down to the wire.
Yeah, and geez, couldn't have got too much darker either. Actually, that game, you was almost like don't run drinks out, run carrots out. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You're not wrong. It did get dark, and we were screaming for Jake Fraser McGurk to come out. And he's taking his sweet time at the back end. So I'm just thankful we got over the line.
It was amusing and entertaining there as a neutral. It's quite funny listening to all the emotions of people. It's funny how we are a lot more relaxed as a bit more of a neutral, Pete. Yep. And look, that Shield game too. It's a couple of great catches. Like Weathers was hitting the ball beautifully at the start of the last day. Really good catch by Jason Sanger, and then a blinder of a catch by Harry off you, where there was just no carry, and he just almost managed to. It was like picking a low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I think that's something we pride ourselves on now. Is our catching. A couple of years ago, we sat down and we weren't at the position we want to be, and it's credit to our coaches and our batting coach, especially Stubbo, who puts a lot of effort in with our catches behind the wicket. And it shows in games like that how much it pays off.
Yeah.
You know, you miss that catch off where he wasn't letting you miss your spot by an inch.
No,
you know,
he
you
was
missed an
smashing
inch
him, wasn't
full,
he? He
was
looked
smacking
good.
for 4.
Yeah.
And then Ward at that stage of the game, if he's in on 140 with Owen when he was going,
Yeah, we're gone.
all of a sudden you don't have an head to tie down. So it's those little things that really make a difference. And obviously Harry probably didn't really get his chance in the first innings and got a nice ball in the second, but it might not always be a game, but it's your moment. And he really took that moment. And obviously Sanger had a blunder of a debut game, which you can't really fault.
Game.
So it was massive for us in the context.
On Liam Scott playing his part too. He comes right over the top. The old fashioned, as geez, I'm sure yourself as well heard Dizzy say 8 million times, bowl at your maximum height, and Liam does that, and he's contributing. And you made the point yesterday where squad mentality, and we've now played 21 players, and you've gone through a lot of bowlers too. It's purely with injury with Doggett, Brendan Doggett, Spencer Johnson. Jordan with Buck. So there's been, it's going to be, and obviously Lloyd Pope missing out, which, I thought we missed him yesterday, but I can see why as well. And so it's going to be some real fierce fighting for spots. So it's a bloody good position for South Australian cricket. And we now pause for the Big Bash, and we're on top of both tables. And doesn't that sound beautiful to say?
100%. And in times we've been fighting hard for draws, and now we're fighting hard and winning games, and we're sitting at the top of the table. And it's just it's a true progression of the squad we have and the squad mentality we have. Like, we've won 3 games now this year with 3 different bowling attacks completely,
and 2 wins and a draw away. We have the chance to establish the best performances away this season. Also win the David Hooks Trophy against Victoria. So it's an exciting time as a South Australian cricket nut, which unfortunately is not a huge number of us, but yes.
Absolutely, but I think that's what makes it special playing for South Australia. The people who support us really are diehard supporters, and it means a lot to the cricketers when we do well to see the people that really value and ride our ups, ride our downs. It makes it even more special for us because we know they've been hard times and we've experienced them firsthand. You don't sit in the rooms and go, oh, well, you sit in the rooms and go, how can we get better? You know, we hate losing. And finally, we're starting to win games, which we knew we could do. And it's just making us so proud that we can make South Australia proud.
Oh, look, and as you said, there aren't a huge number of us. We all know each other who go to Shield games.
First name basis.
It sounds ridiculous in Adelaide Oval. It's almost an intimate environment where you know people. And, I've been at a Shield game. There were 16 people there, and I knew every one of them. I realised they had a tragic life, So,
well, that's it. And I think if obviously touch wood, if the situation comes where one day, and I think we're not far from it, we do win a Shield, it just make it even that more special.
Bloody oath. Hey, Wes, greatly appreciated. Good luck with the Sydney Thunder. Yeah, hope you, as you said yesterday, chance to plant it over Warner and learn stuff. Hope you enjoy it. I get it, splitting it up a bit with the Big Bash and that. So all the best there, and look forward to catching up, mate. Thanks, Wes.
So much,
greatly
guys.
appreciated.
Thank you, Wes.
Thanks for having me on. I look forward to hopefully playing some more and winning some more games for South Australia in the future.
Beautiful.
Cheers.
Look forward to having you on again. Thanks, Wes.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Liking this podcast? Please like, rate, and subscribe. Around the grounds.
All right, around the grounds today. A little bit of a different opening there. We thank Wes Agar for his time tonight on the Game On podcast and giving us almost a ball-by-ball blow of that final over in a miraculous Sheffield Shield, and that's where we're going to start today, mate.
Yeah, and it was just really interesting to hear his clarity of thought and the thinking behind it. And we had to bowl a dot and get the player in the box with Henry Hunt at mid-wicket there. And, so it was really interesting hearing the thought process bowling around the wicket and the areas there. And, hey, he did the job. 4 for 4 and we win. You bloody fucking beauty.
Mate, I didn't expect you to roll up tonight considering we're top of the Shield table. We're top of the one-dayers. I thought I was going to have to send out a missing persons report for you.
Just keep the lid on it. But at least we've got 2 months we're on top of the Shield. We've got 2 months to enjoy that win.
Mate, it's the longest break that you can
Yes.
think of. Mate, South Australia obviously doing the unthinkable there, beating Tasmania, as we've already mentioned there. Where was it all sort of set up and won, and how was it set up and won?
Oh, we drove the bus. Jason Sanger scored 151 in the first innings.
Yep.
Henry Hunter,
And that was on
136.
debut, wasn't it, for
for
Sanger?
South Australia,
Yep.
yeah. And he got 60 odd in the second innings as well. So we really drove it. You know, we declared at 6 for 398, bowled them out for 203. We could have enforced the follow on.
Yep.
We actually did speak about that off air where he'd been with Jordan Silk, who made the point of talking about how flat the deck is in Tasmania and they don't mind batting last.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I can see where they
It was a big
came
run
from with
chase,
that.
though.
Oh, it
was a
is,
huge
but it
run chase.
just... There were several times where we managed to get a nick and the ball just didn't even go remotely close to carrying to the slips. And they couldn't have been any closer.
Yep.
It was a really good catch by Fraser McGurk where he was so close to get Doran out off Liam Scott.
Yep.
So, yeah, look, in the end, it's a bizarre win and we're on top of the table.
Absolutely. Where to for South Australia now? Rhino obviously taking over at the beginning of the season. I did hear an interview with him talking in that, hasn't made too many changes, but more from a culture point of view than, say, a technical change. But they've also been forced into a lot of changes with injuries and players not being available at various stages as well. They've selected very, very smart. That's what it looks like from the non-cricket nuffy.
Yeah, they've hammered the squad mentality, and Rhino's very good with that.
Yep.
And, like Spencer Johnson didn't come up.
Yep.
His body obviously has only been used to bowling 4 overs, plays a couple of Shield games, didn't cope with the workload.
Yep.
Also with the Big Bash coming up.
Yes.
So there. Because, look, if we can get him on the park and bowling flat chat, he's pretty special.
Yep.
So
And that holds South Australia in
it's
a good stead at this time of the year.
it's pretty incredible that if everyone's available, you've got Spencer Johnson, Jordan Buckingham, Brendan Doggett, Wes Agar, Harry Thornton, Harry Conway, Nathan McAndrew competing for 3 spots.
Wow.
So it's full on.
That's something you can't say about South Australian
No,
cricket for many
it's a long
years.
time.
Obviously, speaking to you about it, and
Yeah.
you've always said that depth is what we've lacked. Now we've got that depth.
Yeah, Liam Scott's come through the equator a bit too, and it's
Yep.
really good. And he's a local. I love
Well,
seeing your local come
This
through.
is what I was going to say. Is that next tier?
Hopefully. And look, I think Ryan King, it's a bummer that East Torrens are in Div 2 this year. That's probably not helping him getting the recognition he should with the runs he's being made.
Yep.
Because Fraser McGurk hadn't made a run for West Torrens, so he was a pretty controversial selection in that. Smashed 40 odd and a real quick in the first innings, so it worked. So, but whether they can get away with playing Harry Manenti, look, I think he's got to play in the top 6 if he plays.
As a batsman.
As a batsman who
Yep.
can bowl a bit,
Yep.
not the other way around. He's not a good enough offie.
But if those
So-
players are available that you've mentioned, then that decision becomes a little bit easier. Is that what I'm reading into that?
Oh, possibly, and then it depends who's available. Look, they probably didn't anticipate losing Nathan McSweeney
No.
at the Test side either. And Nathan McSweeney is a bloody good offie.
Yep.
So that changed the equation a bit as well.
Okay.
So, and we've got 3 guys in the Test side, and Brendan Dockett didn't play either. So we actually had 4 in the squad.
Yes.
Which, so it's rosy times in that regard. And there's Brendan Doggett who's played, and he's actually not a certain selection for South Australia. So it's going to be swings and roundabouts.
Some positive signs there.
Yep.
Obviously, South Australia now having to stop for the Big Bash.
Yeah.
Just refresh my memory. Is this the way it normally runs, where you
Yeah, it
do
has
play
been
so
now.
many, and then
Yes.
the Big Bash
Yep.
has that little period of
Yeah, and our
about
next
2 months?
game's not till February 8th against WA away.
Yep.
Yep.
Would you like to see it all done before Christmas and then the Big Bash after Christmas, or do you think that there's value with the Big Bash coming in late December, early January?
Oh, I'm old-fashioned. I'd love not to have the Big Bash and the Shield cricket retaining what it should.
Yep.
Test players playing Shield cricket. That helps the Test side.
Yep.
Yeah, And unless the South Australian Test side falls away, they don't do that. When the Big Bash is their money cow, and I get that. I get how it gets people in.
Yep.
They got too greedy though and played too many games. Now they've cut it back. I still think it's got to get cut back a bit more yet.
Yep.
But yeah, well, it'll be just interesting. It did make a bit of a comeback last year with less games because the previous 2 years it was like an episode of Blue Hills. It just never finished.
Speaking of obviously the Big Bash and the Strikers, first game against the Melbourne Stars here in Adelaide on December the 20th. Always a pretty good event. We host the New Year's one as well, which is always pretty popular. People walking across the River Torrens there for a game, and then obviously scooting back over for the festivities later on that evening. Look, I know it's a little too early to tell, but banking points before Christmas is pretty important. Is it more and more important for South Australia this year to do that?
Oh, look, it's just beautiful now that we're top in both competitions. All of a sudden, games are alive still for South Australia. But let's be honest, in general, for the last,
they've been over by Christmas.
By this, we're no chance to make the final. We're trying not to finish bottom. We're all of a sudden, it's game on when we start again in February, and I reckon Rhino will be frustrated a little bit in terms of stop.
Yep.
But yeah, I haven't spoken to Rhino since the Shield win. I did message him. He did reply.
Yep.
So I will try and chat to him the next few days as well.
All right. Putting our crystal ball right here on the table in front of us. Western Australia, been a bit up and down this year. What do we expect? Does the break help them or does it hinder them?
Oh, who knows? But they're always hard to beat over there as well. So, let's wait and see. You just got to see Big Bash, injuries happen.
Yep.
Let's just wait and see.
South Australia obviously drawing with WA there a couple of Shield games ago. So, I'm really looking forward to that one there. But Big Bash, I know it's not your favourite thing, but how do you think the Strikers will go this year? And guest Wes Agar,
he's
obviously not playing for South Australia in the Redbacks. The Strikers, but obviously playing for the Thunder. How do we see these players that are playing for other franchises going, and obviously the Strikers?
Oh, look, you just follow it a bit in that regard, and I probably am a little bit more that way. I probably more follow individuals. Yeah, I want to see the Strikers win, but I remember when we won it, I was sitting with Robbo, and I just went,
"Hi hum, see you next week."
And Weathers have made 100, and I'm pretty close with Jake.
Yep.
Previous guest on the show, and that side of things, and it was just a hum. Where for me, if we win the Shield, geez.
Well, I won't see you for that week, maybe even that month. So we'll put out a call right now. We've got this obviously live streaming as we speak. Let us know where you're from, but also if you'd like to be a special guest, if South Australia win,
I'll be out. I'll be out and about. We'll do some interviews and all that sort of things.
Yep. No, we might do a live one here, there, and everywhere on that one. All right, mate. Let's move on to the Test cricket. Since we've got through the best of the South Australian stuff, let's talk about the other cricket. Mate, Australia turned things around in a big way against India here in Adelaide in a very stunning comeback in the scheme of things.
Yeah, and a quick little personal one. Matty Matchos and myself, because we run the Junior Blasters on a Saturday morning at Payneham, were chosen to be flag holders, and the two of us held the Indian flag, so we claim we did the right thing and put bad luck on India to get Australia up. Yeah, so that was a bit of a buzz to be out in the middle of Adelaide Oval at the start of the game. What was it like
with 50,000 people out there, mate?
Yeah, it was. And look, let's just say a few of the instructions were amusing. The lady was very intense. It was, do not scratch your nose. Do not scratch this. You got to stand perfectly still. Do not this. And hey, love, they're here to watch the players, not us holding a flag. But it was amusing, and it was really enjoyable.
Yes.
And
now, did you get to have photos out on the ground as part of that ceremony?
No, we did get a few, and unfortunately, my situation with Facebook.
I do, yes. Yep. Yes. We're trying to rectify that, but we'll see how we go.
Let's just say I have got the photo of where I took of the two ladies who sung the national anthem still in my photo deck, and it's a bit above our level, mate.
Yes.
And then obviously the highlight of the Test match, was Travis, but I actually enjoyed the first night where it was actually really compelling watching, where Nathan McSweeney,
yes,
and so there was a South Australian bit there, and just really batting for Nathan. Come on, Nathan, keep going, mate. And Nathan McSweeney had supported our Chris Ansell night as well, which we greatly appreciate.
Yep.
And, Marnus Labuschagne, who'd been out of nick, fought hard that first night.
He certainly did, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought that was really compelling watching, and that set the game up. And then Travis come out and just smashed him. And, Pant dropped him. Well, didn't bother to go for a catch where Travis should have been out in 72. And honestly, it seemed about 5 minutes later he brought his 100 up. And it was just Travis at his belligerent best and just where he changes a game. If he can bat a session, he just changes the equation. He's the Doug Walters of the modern day, batting at 5. Yeah.
Now, I've got it on the run sheet here, and you might be able to answer this question. Obviously, a little bit of a limited preparation going into Perth. We sort of thought that was the same with most of the players, is that they tried to manage them probably a little bit too much. And again, a bit of a bugbear of ours is that sports science sometimes does take over some of those sort of intangibles as far as playing games go. Did Trav get back on the bike for this test, or was it a gradual build-up?
Yeah, let's remember he did get 89 in Perth as well, so he'd still hit him pretty well considering. I think it was crazy him not playing a Shield game beforehand. I'm being very firm on that. And look, Cummins was more the one. He hadn't played a Shield game either, which he was underdone. And that showed and all of a sudden you could just see the rhythm coming back. Each spell he bowled in Adelaide just
got better and better and better. Yep.
And he's away now. So, I think Cummins was probably more the one than Travis.
Yep. Marnus, you've mentioned already there. Were you impressed by the way he hung around on that first night?
Yeah, I thought he was more positive than Perth. He was trying to score, where Perth he was just batting on memory, and it was like someone sinking, drowning, and just desperately trying to stay alive, where he was more proactive.
Yep.
And that the amusing thing on the first night too, at one stage Australia were 1 for 29, and there were 13 byes. It was like a kids' game.
Yep.
Pants keeping was like, go put the best fielder at backstop.
Yep.
Yeah, he can bat.
Yes.
We all acknowledge that. I didn't like his crazy shots. That's not me, but he's an average keeper.
Yep. No, fair enough. Now the pressure goes off of Labuschagne a little bit and goes to Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Is this a case, and I've heard him say, I'm playing well, but I'm just getting out.
Yeah, strangled down the leg side. It's a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, but look.
Is he moving too much on the crease? Again, I'm not a cricket nuffy, but that's what I'm observing, that he just gets himself tangled up a little bit sometimes.
There's no doubt, as you get older, and look, it showed Khawaja in Adelaide. The drop catch from Khawaja in Adelaide, that looked like you put the old bastard at first slip, hoping they're not going to get a nick to him.
Yep.
And your reflexes slow down.
Yep.
And there's no doubt, Khawaja, Smith, Coley, the reflexes are slowing.
Yep. Hello to Craig, who's jumped on to say hello on the live stream. So welcome aboard, mate. Hope the bowls are going well. I know that Craig's from the bowl side of things, but obviously listening to us tonight. The pressure now comes to the bowlers as to the Hazelwood injury. Do they back up Boland? What's the solution here? Because they're in a little bit of trouble.
There's no solution. If Hazelwood's past fit, he'll play, and Boland will miss out. I think India there, Bumrah, and I thought it was weird that we needed 19 runs to win. Why did Bumrah bowl an over? There just didn't seem to be any purpose in that, and you do wonder, has he stretched it a little bit more?
Yep.
Let's wait and see for when the teams actually are announced Saturday morning.
The Hazel one becomes a bit of a head scratcher for me. It looked like didn't play to team rules in Perth, and
but I don't agree.
No, you don't agree with that?
No.
I know I mentioned it a little bit last time, but it
not
is
at
what
all.
it is. Mate, some interesting things that have come out of this test. Obviously, Travis Head getting fined there with that, I suppose, send-off from the bowler and then obviously replying. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a bit over the top, but they're always going to come down there. Look, I get it too. The last thing you want is juniors copying, so I do get that side of it, but I'm a bit mystified that Travis copped a demerit point. I get how Indian guy there, but I think Travis, I get how Shiraz copped one, but
Yep.
I'm a bit blowed how Travis copped the demerit point. I think that's a bit over the top.
Were you surprised to see such a send-off like that? Or is it just the pressure of the series that you just had that white line fever moment?
I think he's got a bit of white line fever, and
Yep.
he showed it the night before where he spat the dummy and threw the ball when Manus backed away.
Yeah,
when
for
guy-
the snake, the beer snake.
thing.
Yep.
And, yeah, so I think Shiraz has got to pull his head in. It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yep.
So
And then the last one I've got here on my list is 4-day tests, mate. Are you a yes or a no? And maybe the pros and cons for either or.
I'm still a traditionalist, but it's getting harder and harder to justify calling them fight because they so very rarely go to the
Yep.
fifth day.
Yep.
We did have a couple though let's think of the Ashes series where it did go down the wire where the Cummins and Lyon part and that. So let's wait and see. But unfortunately, there is becoming more and more a case to be built for it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Financially, it makes sense to go 4 starting on a Friday, maybe using that 4th day because most of them are over by 3.5 days.
Yeah, and then they just take things for granted anyway. Like the Ashes next year against England, the Test match starts on the Wednesday, which for mine's crazy.
Yep.
But they know they're going to get sellout crowds anyway.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Speaking of sellout crowds, Adelaide done it once again. Congratulations
Yeah.
to South Australians turning out. Both, 50, just over 50 on the first day, 51 in the second day, and 33,000 for
One session.
basically one session on the third day.
And out of that, I think it was another sellout. And you got to remember, people paid just for the evening ticket, so it would have been at least 45 again. So it was pretty incredible crowds. Look, I don't agree. I think the SACA, though, have become greedy and overselling the members
Yes.
and all that side of things. There was a hell of a lot of criticism on the amount of time to get a drink and just poor in that regard.
Mhm.
And
Even with all the festivities out the back?
yeah, look, and I was disappointed with Charlie Hodgson came on from the SACA on with KG and Cornsey, and he's going, "Oh, but what a great day's cricket." I'm going, "Charlie, you haven't listened to the pundits for the last hour here." So, yeah, for mine, the SACA failed on day one especially.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, mate, we better take a quick break. We've been flying through it today, but coming up, LA Crows unveil a future star. And the Power, they anoint a brand new AFLW champion. And in trade talk, Adelaide get busy in the final day of the trade. Plus the 36ers going down in a tough away game.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
Looking to buy or sell your home anywhere in Adelaide, from the hills to the sea? Meet Gary KRIEVS, your dedicated local agent from OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. With unparalleled knowledge of Adelaide's housing market and a commitment to exceptional service, Gary ensures a smooth and stress-free experience for all your real estate needs. Trust the expert, trust Gary KRIEVS at OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. Your next dream home awaits. Contact Gary today on 0422 071 317 or on email garyk@ocre.com.au. And for more listings, please visit owenscasserly.com.au. Make it happen. Once again, we thank our valuable sponsors
Yep,
for the
thanks,
program.
Barry.
Thank to Gary KRIEVS there. All right, mate, we move on to the AFL. Who's a lock for round one for both Adelaide and Port Adelaide? Because Sid Draper, first couple of training sessions, looks like that he might secure a spot for round one.
Oh, I'll be surprised if he doesn't. He's pure class. So, yeah, I think he's exactly what they miss. So I'll be very surprised if he doesn't play round one. Look, let's just wait and see. Then pre-season with trials and things change, but no, he's class.
Yep.
He'll play.
Absolutely. Port Adelaide, do you see a couple of their recruits potentially making a, say, round 5 before round 5?
Oh, Lukosius will play straight away,
Yep.
obviously. And then you just got to wait and see from there
All right.
and that. So, but Lukosius will play.
Yeah, big debate. We've had it before, but we'll have it again. Where do you see him playing? Forward, wing, or half of halfback?
I think he'll be playing full forward. I think he'll start out of the square. I wouldn't do that with him, but I think that's where he will start.
Do you think Georgiadis should be that player?
I think he'll float from the pocket. I'd have Georgiadis or Lord more at full forward. I would have Lukosius at half forward.
Yep.
Or even a wing.
Yep. Fair enough.
Yep,
and then for Adelaide, looks like Josh Shelley has come back with the right frame of mind. A bit of midfield time for what is match simulations in the first week of pre-season.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, look.
Because normally it's you run, a little bit of ball work, run, a little bit of ball work. But players are coming back in better and better nick each year. Is this a change in the AFL, the way they're thinking?
Oh, look, and you got to remember when they get back, they all get tested. 8 million tests immediately, and then Darren Burgess to decide from there. So, yeah, what will be. And as you said, nowadays you are expected. There's no such thing as Darren Jarman Fat Farm anymore.
Yeah, you can't just roll into the pre-season after being in the paddock for a couple of weeks there over the break.
No.
Which coaches are most under pressure to perform this year, and what clubs could benefit, say, from someone like a John Longmire?
Oh, look, I think Hinckley's under enormous pressure. So's Nicks. They're both under pressure. I think Longmuir at Freo's under pressure.
Yep.
I think Hardwick, they're not going to get the bullet or anything, but he's going to be under pressure, expected to deliver a bit more. Freo, you want Gold Coast playing finals this year for sure.
Yep. Which clubs do you see in the premiership window at the moment?
I did hear Cam Mooney's bit where he's tipped Freo to be the big improver. I don't mind that. I do rate Amos and that. Bolton then gives them the X factor. You've got Sarong and Brayshaw, etc. in the middle. So I do. Yeah, I think there's a bit to work with Freo.
Yep. And they did fall out of the finals after a pretty horrible last month of the season.
I think there's enough ability. I don't disagree with the thought process at all that they're the bolter for the team to go into the top four.
Sure. What about Collingwood?
Again, it's going to depend on injuries a bit. I do. The age for mine's also a query.
That's a worry, yep.
I think they are too old, but Houston's a big pickup.
Absolutely. We have said that about Geelong being too old, and yet they've proved us all wrong.
Yeah. So
speaking of Geelong, where do you see them sort of fitting into the piece of the puzzle?
I think they're just so hard to read, Geelong. Like, you just don't know. We've waited for them to fall away. They didn't. They managed to blow that prelim final. They were 26 points up in that prelim final.
Mm-hmm.
So was that their last tilted a flag?
Yep.
Dangerfield now, can he contribute over a majority of a season? So I think there's a lot of, there's intriguing questions. Yep. And look, there's very few sides who aren't in the hunt.
That's true. Brisbane, we have to say, where do you see them sitting, considering they've got players coming back from knee injuries and quality players too,
Ashcroft.
And they've picked up the younger of the Ashcroft brothers, who is going to be fighting for a spot for round one.
Oh yeah, and we just got to wait and see how much they're going to miss Danaher. That's the thing. I think if Danaher's still there, they're going. They've added Ashcroft. They've also got the chance to get Coleman back from his knee, so that gets them a lot stronger back in the back half.
Yep.
Dode still hasn't debuted yet, so there's a lot of potential pluses. We just got to wait and see how much they miss Danaher. Let's just wait and see.
And Sydney, last one.
Yeah, I still like Sydney's list.
Yep.
Will there be scars? There quite often is from a team in a grand final who gets thumped and fall away.
Well, they had that 2 years ago too.
Yeah,
so
let's just wait and see. But I don't mind. I think it was time for a change there. So I think Cox there will be pretty smoothless transition.
Yep.
They've also got Harley and Pridham, the dynamic duo. So I still think they get very well run off ground.
Yep.
And I still think they'll be around the mark.
Question without notice here. Cox made them watch the grand final. A lot of players don't want to go near it. Do you think that's a good move or a bad move?
I personally think it's a good move.
Yeah, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I think you've got to own your stuff ups a bit as well, and just be.
Yep.
I think we can. Too keen to bury. I think it's not like the previous year where Brisbane, it's a toss of the coin. One ball bounces the other way and Brisbane win it.
Yep.
Where this year Sydney were terrible after quarter time.
Yep.
They were horrendous.
All right, let's move on to the AFLW. As our guest for this week did talk about a little bit.
Busy the first couple of days. He said a bit quieter on the last day, but busy, yes.
But young power star emerges to take out the club best and fairest for Port Adelaide, but also being in the trade window here that Adelaide have actually secured a Port Adelaide player.
Yeah, Hannah Ewings. And the big rap, she was draft choice 3, exploded. It's had some personal problems. Not really sure there in terms of that way, but if they can get her fit, she can really play. So I think it's a bold selection by Adelaide.
Yes.
But
sometimes a change of environment can be exactly what you need.
Yeah, just wait and see. And I know like Goodwin went from Port Adelaide and is glowing about Adelaide.
Yes.
Sarah Goodwin there. So, let's wait and see.
Absolutely. Obviously, the sisters, the Irish sisters have now been brought back together. They did play together at West Coast, then got separated, and now are back together at the Crows. I think that's a positive for the Crows.
Yeah, so do I. And she played very well against Adelaide here too.
21 possessions and almost best on ground.
Yeah, and it was funny. I didn't click immediately. I'm walking across the ground afterwards, and why have we got those two together? And then it clicked. Yeah, and then I ended up talking to
the parents
upstairs. Yes. Fantastic accent.
Yep.
Absolutely sensational.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was actually probably my highlight of that night, actually.
Obviously. And the last one that came through very late today was North Melbourne are going to get stronger with the addition of a pretty good player.
Yeah. Just I thought they were the best side by a mile this year, so let alone picking up another one. So hey, the Kangaroos, and they'd be just hoping it rubs off on a little bit on the male side of things. So, look, they're set up for a dynasty. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yep, that's going to be very interesting. And obviously, Brisbane have been around the mark for quite some time, and as well as Adelaide as well. But I think they've got a lot of catching up to do to catch North Melbourne. So totally agree.
Yep.
All right, mate, let's move on to the basketball. Adelaide 36ers have a bit of work to do after falling behind in the win-loss column and now sitting second or third bottom of the table. But their 2 imports are back after suspension.
Yeah, as I said, I've got a bitter taste about that. That's really lost the Kangaroo court. I thought it was disgraceful, really poorly run by basketball. Yeah, I'm just probably a bit disillusioned about that. Yep. Yeah, I just thought it was disgraceful.
Absolutely. Just slightly off topic is how do basketball continue to sell out stadiums here, there and everywhere? Basketball has got back to that sort of 1990s vibe where it's the hottest ticket in town.
And it's interesting where it's so big here. Like, it's just huge. And it's not like the 36ers have been contending for a while. We haven't really contended for a fair few years, but it is.
Well, we moved from a smaller stadium to a slightly bigger stadium, and we're still selling out.
It's big. Yeah, it's incredible. Love to know what they're doing right.
Mate, we might try and get somebody on from Basketball SA and see if we can get that explained to us.
So, they're going well.
Absolutely. All right, mate, let's take another quick break here. Coming up after the break. We have Phil Harper, part 1. Really looking forward to hearing a little bit more of what Phil's got to say there. And Des O'Dwyer, part 2. A bit of a Woodville link. Woodville link there.
Go the Packers, go the Warriors.
Absolutely.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
A dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glynde, for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
Flashbacks.
All right, today on Flashbacks, before we do that, once again, thank you to another wonderful sponsor there in Roger Steen. If you need your car checked out for any bingles that you've had or anything that's happened, Craig Steen will take care of you there.
I did catch up with said hello to the boys yesterday.
Absolutely. All right, mate, let's move on to Flashbacks. Today we go back to 1993, a very historical event happened in the world of tennis where Monica Seles was unfortunately on the receiving end of a crazed spectator.
Yeah, it was bizarre and probably never really came back to the same, player after that. It was just terrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sit back and watch how things unfolded and where Monica Seles has been and then come from as well.
When she defeated Graf to win her third successive Australian Open in 1993, Seles was at her peak. But Graf, a true champion, was not about to give up easily.
That rivalry had just gotten going, and everybody was looking for the next, decade to see this rivalry with Steffi and Monica, and it didn't happen.
3 months later, her life would change forever. Günter Pascher, an obsessive fan of Steffi Graf, stabbed Seles with a knife during a changeover at the Citizen Cup in Hamburg.
I remember sitting on the bench. I was just thinking to myself, I should change. I'm giving my opponent a little bit of too much what she liked. And then suddenly I just felt such a hard pain, a sharp pain in me. It's ooh. And then I wanted to touch what's in there, and I just saw blood.
The 5-inch blade narrowly missed Seles's spinal cord. It was a sickening and unprovoked attack, recalled by her opponent that day.
I heard a noise something like that. I didn't, at the time, I didn't realize there was knife and blood. I just thought somebody hit her and she fell. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what had happened. I got a little bit scared for myself. Nobody knew what's going on.
She gets stabbed in her office. Can you imagine being in your office and someone just opening the door, coming up behind you, sticking a knife in your shoulder? That's exactly what happened.
I was in a tennis match when this happened. I was doing something that I love, and I never ever expected something like this to happen. And whenever I think about it, it's just very hard.
Extra time. Big finish.
All right, mate. Obviously, talking about that unbelievable event there with Monica Seles, what could have been one of the all-time great rivalries. But we move on to tennis. The star-studded field stepped out for the Tennis Australia Awards night. Joint winners in Maddie Ebden and Alex de Minaur.
Yeah, I think it's pretty appropriate, and good to see their work. Maddie Ebden's just ridiculously incredible doubles record being acknowledged as well.
Yep, obviously achieving world number one this year. Alex de Minaur, we know that he's around the mark. He just needs that little bit of X factor to take that next step. Yeah. But injuries are going to play a part, and he is a grinder.
Yeah.
And they generally catch up with you, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And he just lacks that bit of power. But Leighton did win a couple of majors. So, yeah, go Alex.
Absolutely. Can we see Nick Kyrgios making an impact at this next Australian Open on the court? I know ticket sales will probably go up off the court, but on the court?
No.
Nope. There you go. You heard it first, folks. Congratulations to the juniors in Hayden Jones, Maya Joint, and Emerson Jones, also taking away awards at the Newcombe medal there.
Yep,
SA's own Darren Cale taking out the Top Coaches Award for coaching in excellence. He's got an unbelievable record, hasn't he?
His record is obscene. Yannick Sinner, it's just
Andre Agassi, Leighton Hewitt,
Simona
Halep. Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Yep. Congratulations, obviously, go to them. Mate, we move on to baseball. A little bit locally, we're going okay. The Adelaide Giants, we're going to follow them up a little bit more next week leading into the Christmas break. But in the MLB, the biggest contract goes to the New York Mets after signing Juan Soto for just over $1 billion Australian dollars. Do you think it's getting out of hand, these contracts?
Yes. Yes.
I knew you might say that, but there's no cap. There's no real cap.
Yeah.
Is it the time that
they can afford it? It's got me beat.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of businessmen chipping in a few dollars there to get their players over the line. All right, let's move on to the SNFL. Some SNFL news. Good luck to some players that have been invited to pre-season at several AFL clubs, including a couple of Nord players.
Yeah, Harry Boyd will be officially announced as a Saint within the next 24 to 48 hours as well. I think Bain and Lowe will get picked up by Freo, but we won't see there as well.
And I did see Dudley.
Dudley from
Centrals.
Isaac Dudley is the other player, but I'll be surprised if it's not Bain.
Yep. All right. Good luck to those players there. Still on the SNFL, it seems WA club isn't so happy at losing a player back to the SNFL. What are your thoughts, mate?
Let's just see how that plays out. Yeah, wait and see on that one.
Yep. Your thoughts on that?
I would hope and
sanity will prevail.
Yeah, I think it will in time. I think Nick Rokar will be back at Nord.
Yep.
So, leave it at that.
Fantastic for Nord if that does happen. And to finish this off, mate, the good, the bad, the ugly for this week. What are your thoughts?
The good was obviously South Australia winning the cricket and Australia winning the test match. For mine, the bad was especially day one. Saka, they failed. Yeah. Especially, apparently it was slightly better day two, but it's still, you can't just say, we'll get it better next time. Nah, we knew it was going to be 50-odd thousand.
Yep.
Just too many greed. Yeah.
Yep. Fair enough. And the ugly?
Shiraz a little bit, but ugly was WA losing. I would have loved WA and New South Wales to draw in the other Shield game. So there's my ugly.
There you go. Yeah. WA copying a little bit of a clip on the way through. Mate, my good was Travis Head, obviously scoring 140 off of 141 balls, I think it was in the end. My bad was probably Tasmania in not knowing what the situation was.
Unbelievable.
But also from a scoreboard point of view, that they looked like they might have got that wrong, which I didn't know that until you guys mentioned that tonight, which is just unbelievable. Yeah. And my ugly is probably the beer guy timing his run behind the run up, which caused a little bit of aggro there between Australia and
India. That and the lights going off.
Well, yes, actually, we haven't talked about that.
With that, if it happened as the player let go of the ball, what the hell could have happened there? And someone said that Nathan Lyon went out the back for a hit and they flicked the wrong switch. Now, who knows whether that's actually true or not?
Yep.
But it's one of those things. I'm not. That just happens. No. But thank goodness the ball hadn't been delivered at the time.
And also the technology's got better these days that you can turn the switch and straight back on.
You'd
had to wait 20, 30
ago,
minutes
that would have been
for it to warm up. Yeah. Would have been absolutely crazy. All right, mate.
Overrate. There's my ugly of the week.
Go.
Yes.
Overrate.
Absolutely disgraceful. Both sides to be 12 overs short on day one is crap. Bring in run penalties. It will fix it in 5 minutes.
There you go. We might follow that up a little bit more next week, I reckon. But, mate, we've done another live stream going out to the masses. You can still comment on the page. If you haven't liked, rated and subscribed yet, please do so. They definitely help numbers. And
please do.
We certainly need as many numbers as possible. So Mate,
especially after my crap with Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. We'll see if we can sort that out, but best of luck with that, mate. Until next week, mate, we promise to do better. I thank you once again. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you then.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at SportsCast SA. We'll see you next time on Game On.